Good morning, everyone. It is a gorgeous Friday, and while it may not be gorgeous outside, it is a beautiful day because our Boilermakers got another win last night in the spring madness, March madness of what we like to call the big tourney this time of the year. And we had some big weather last night, so we had big weather, big wind, and a big win. Wink, wink, with a nice tip in all at the end of it. Okay, so let's get into some of this stuff that we're talking about. I am your meteorologist, Brian Burden, here for your forecast for Friday. What is it? Friday, March 27th already, folks. It's almost April. What happened? I swear wasn't it just Christmas a couple days ago? Maybe a couple months ago? Okay, that one I could get away with for sure. I'm still wearing the lucky headband right now. I also put on the Final Four shirt because they have an epic match coming up for tomorrow. It will be Purdue against Arizona, and we'll get into a lot of that here later after we get into the weather first. And of course, as usual, when I talk weather, we got to talk about different things and different places and different spots, not just Lafayette. But what about what happened around the state last night, right? There were a lot of different factors that happened last night. I told you that Lafayette was pretty much kind of out of the mix of the the bullseye for severe weather. Didn't mean we didn't have a chance for severe weather, just meant our chances for a tornado were probably just a little bit farther to the east. Chances for the big heavy hail were a little bit farther to the east, all of that. But we were still in a prime area for some pretty good thunderstorms, and we did see a few of those last night. Maybe some of you south of town really saw some pretty good wind. Maybe you saw what people thought was a funnel cloud or a tornado that touchdown, maybe going off towards the Tipton area and out to the east of Frankfurt, that kind of thing. I did see it on the radar last night when I popped in and put out a little short cast there for you to show it to you. Where I thought it was over Lafayette, it was south of town. I said keep an eye on this area where we saw some kinking, some bending in the winds and where it was. And sure enough, farther downstream is where that tornado tried to pop up, it looks like, at least at this point. We'll get all the details in a couple days. They always got to go and take a look at preliminary, see which way the winds were blowing. Most of what came through Lafayette was just wind, right? And a few of you saw some hail. I think south of town, down towards Crawfordsville, saw some hail, pretty good hail too. But for us in town, it was mostly just wind and some heavy rain and not even that much thunder. I swear we only had maybe 5 claps of thunder out here on the north side of town, and then maybe another 5 or 6 during the evening, the rest of the night after that. Because remember I said there was a second line of thunderstorms coming? Well, that did pass through, but it was very weak and quiet, and it just kind of rained most of the night off and on, at least for our neck of the woods. Maybe yours had a little bit more than that, but ours was pretty quiet. All right, so let's get into the numbers first. Let's take a look at what we have for our temperatures outside right now. And it is pretty nice, actually, if you really start looking at the numbers. The averages this time of the year should be right at freezing, okay? So we're at 36 this morning. Here's the bad news. We're going to stay generally somewhere in the upper 30s to maybe lower 40s at best today. That's it. We saw 85 degrees yesterday. I believe will be the official high out at the airport yesterday. 85 degrees. So that is definitely the highest temperature we've had all spring so far. And I don't think we hit officially 80 that a couple days ago and a week ago or so when we got up close to it there for those short periods. We're seeing a lot of this 2 days up, 2 days down, 2 days up, 2 days down. That's kind of the pattern now. And as a matter of fact, it's kind of becoming more like 2 days down and 3 days up, right? And then 2 days down, 3 days up. So we'll take a look at that in the forecast too. But right now, 36 degrees, a brisk wind out of the northeast at 11 miles an hour, so coming down off of the lake and then that general area. And generally, as these systems go through, they pull down some low clouds and we hang on to those for a while, and then we try to push them out maybe later into the day. So expect maybe some sunshine later on this afternoon, I would think. And then tomorrow and Sunday are tapping out to be pretty good. Tomorrow still chilly, but sunny. So I'm imagining this 48 probably is going to be, in my mind, with all the sunshine, it's going to be 50, maybe even 52 tomorrow for your high. And then Sunday, probably 64. And I'm going to bump Monday to maybe even close to 80 there. This is how I bump it. And then Tuesday, maybe we're back into that 85 range as we take on some kind of another frontal boundary, because look what happens on Wednesday. Temperatures drop, if you believe a lot of these numbers here, okay? So you notice how, as a forecaster, I'm already making bumps and changes and moving around just naturally. I'm not even thinking about it anymore because I've seen what the models do and how they react. And I try to put that in there. I'm not always right with it, but most of the time it works out pretty well. So, and if you've been watching me for a while, you've probably understood that. I've been doing weather for 40-something years now, actually forecasting weather probably for 40. As I started learning when I was in Iwakuni, Japan, they started really teaching us really well there, and that led well to me going to forecasting school in the military and the Marine Corps, and then eventually down the road, I even was an instructor there. So, and then I came back to Lafayette, or I came to Lafayette, and I was the TV weatherman for like 6 years, and then went to Antarctica, yes, the South Pole, forecasted weather for Antarctica, the continent, all South America, New Zealand, Australia, all those areas down in the southern hemisphere for a while, came back up to Indiana, was forecasting over at Grissom for a while, and went back to Antarctica once in a while. I just did a little bit of everything there. It was kind of in and out, and kind of anchoring ourselves back in Lafayette, though, the last, oh man, it's 15 years now almost, it seems like. It's 10 years for sure. I think it was 1995 when we came back, or 1995. Sorry, guys. It first came in 1997, and then Susie and I came back basically in 2015, pretty solid. So for about, and we left in around 2004. So for about 10 years, we were down in Charleston, South Carolina, and that's where the United States Antarctic Program was anchored out of at that time frame, and I believe they still are. So, okay, that's enough for the history there. Let's get to what happened last night, what's going on today. We know it's 36 degrees out there. We did see some, potential for a tornado that was probably southeast of Lafayette, down towards Frankfort, down that general area, moved off towards Tipton, moved off towards Muncie, and that general direction was moving towards the east. And I'm not hearing any big stories on any big damage on it yet or anything, but we'll have to see as we look at that. I'm sure there's power outages maybe down in places like Wabash County and places like that. So we may see a couple spots where there's some ins and outs, but generally speaking, I think Lafayette fared very well for most of us. Give me a yell on here if you got something out there. Ray's in there. He's already boilering up. He's good. Good morning, brother. Good to talk to you too. Good to see you. I see you on the scan there, so I can see that you're there. That's pretty cool. I like to see that, Ray. We may have to get together for the game because I don't think I can stream it anywhere. So we may have to do that. We got a big men's event tomorrow morning. If you're interested in that, men, come down to the men's event in the morning, 9 o'clock at Innovation Church, and we'll have some food there for you and just some good times to talk. And then we'll figure out where we're going to watch the game tomorrow. So, because I don't have it here. I don't think I have it streamed here at all. It was nice having it on the game last night where it was here at CBS because we were able to watch that. All right, so let's take a look at the satellite picture. Now, we know what the temperatures were. We know what happened last night a little bit. What is going to happen today? And one of the first things we're taught in forecasting school is to look for where the jet stream is. And believe it or not, the jet stream is running almost dead center through the country. This isn't an exact science either, but it was very easy to see last week as we saw very big ridging in the western half of the United States, right? And then there was nothing for cloud cover out here. Big old area here. It was very warm out there. And then we had a trough across the eastern half of the United States, and we saw colder temperatures, and we would see these occasional storms coming through that would bounce to our north and stay in the trough, but we were colder. And it was warmer to the south of the jet stream where it was. Now, the ridge is flattened out pretty much. We see a little bump right here. And there's only a little bit of a trough, too. There's not some big, deep trough where this system, see how it is here, how it's moving kind of west to east with all the cloud cover that's behind the low that went behind through last night. It's not kinking way down to Louisiana or anything like that, right? It just kind of set itself up west to east. This is going to be the big player over the next few days for us. And it's not going to be necessarily systems that come through, but when will the jet stream push itself back to the north of us in the next couple of days? Today will be a very cold day for us, considering what we've seen the last couple of days. It's still slightly above normal for our low temperature this morning, and the high officially today may actually be higher than the average high, but it came back at like midnight, right? Midnight, 1 o'clock. It was around 50 degrees still at that time frame. And that's about the average for this time of the year. So don't be surprised if you see the high temperature for today actually being like 50, 51, 52, something like that. Can't remember what the temperature was back at midnight, but it was a bit warmer back then. And so that may be where the high temperature actually comes from today. Meanwhile, we can see some really cold air up into Canada. You see how the ground temperature is very cold. That's the blues, right? You even see it all the way over towards Alberta. You can see some cold air there. Generally speaking, unless they've started to change the model's references to temperature, this is below zero temperatures. So it's still rather chilly in southern Canada, right? Right there, but not into the Great Lakes and not into the northern plains right now. Still above the norms, I would call this. This is probably normal for Alberta, as you get into Saskatchewan, moving on over to Manitoba and Ontario, you're starting to see that this would be about normal for those places, right? So Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario, and Quebec are your provinces to our north. Meanwhile, we've got all this stuff that looks nasty coming over us, but a lot of this is just high clouds and showers and thunderstorms to our south, with Lafayette being right about there. So you notice a lot of the brighter, higher clouds are still already south of us. We're seeing some lower, we're cloud covered as it is, unfortunately.